All right, guys. Welcome back. I know it's been a while since I talked to you all online, but want to try to get you kind of caught up on what we've been discussing and what we need to go over here before our Christmas break. So we're talking about what are the processes that shape the Earth's surface first. So this is going to be a quick review or a quick lesson, and we'll start here. The vocabulary words for this unit that we have been discussing is weathering, erosion, deposition, sedimentary rock. Weathering, that's just the breaking down of exposed rock. Erosion is the movement of that weathered material or that broken down rock. Deposition is when it gets dropped off into a new location. So erosion is the movement by wind, water, or ice. And then sedimentary rock is the type of rock that's formed from layers of sediment that's pressed together. So eventually, weathering, erosion, deposition, and also cementation and compaction lead to sedimentary rock. Cementation is the process of binding and hardening of sediments into hard rock. And compaction is a process by which pressure, overlying pressure, or pushing down reduces the size of that sediment and eventually it turns it into sedimentary rock. Fossil fuels are fuels formed over millions of years from the remains of ancient plants and animals. So those are our vocabulary. So weathering is a physical or chemical process that breaks down rock or um, near the Earth's surface. Um, so it's physical and chemical weathering. There's two main kinds of weathering. Physical weathering occurs when a mechanical process breaks down rock, and chemical weathering occurs when chemical reaction cause rocks to weaken and wear away over time. Agents of weathering are those things that cause weathering to happen. So, rain is an agent of weathering. As it rains or water hits a rock over time, it causes it to break down. Um, so, those are what we consider agents of weathering or things that cause weathering to happen. So, rain, wind, ice wedging, as you can see right here, where water gets into the rock, it freezes, and as it freezes, it causes the rock to expand and eventually break. Flowing water causes physical weathering as rocks bounce and tumble along the bottom of a riverbed. So that's also a form of weathering. Now let's talk about what fossils are. So the remains of traces of living things is called a fossil. So here's the steps of how fossils are formed. Step one, an animal dies and settles on the bottom of the body of water. Step two, sediment buries the animal over time. The soft parts in the animal decay or rot. And then step three, hard parts are preserved in sediment as fossils. So eventually you have a fossil there. Now let's talk about how coal is formed. Coal is a fossil fuel that we use. It's a non-renewable resource, meaning that it won't be made again in our lifetime. But we use it for energy, and we just want to figure out how it's formed and made. So step one, plants die and settle at the bottom of a body of water. They are buried by sediment. So something like this, kind of a swampy area, plants die and settle at the bottom of the water. And then over time, the temperature and pressure rise. Much of the water is squeezed out and remains is changed to peat. So before you have coal, which is here, we have peat. And these are found in peat bogs, little swampy, wet areas. Peat doesn't give off a lot of heat. It produces a lot of smoke when it burns. And in step three, peat continues to be compressed and heated over time, and all the water is gone. And then eventually you have coal. We also have natural gas and oil, which are fossil fuels. They are formed with a similar process, except this happens in a body of water. Tiny sea organisms die and are buried by sediment. And again, over time, pressure from above and heat from beneath cause those tiny sea organisms to turn into oil and natural gas. So that's just a quick overview of what we've been going over and talking about. So I'll have a few questions afterwards, just to go over to make sure that you were understanding what we talked about. All right, guys.